That's it, everybody. It's a wrap. We done. Your football season is over. The end is near. Run for the hills. Hide your children. There's nothing you can do. It's over. What's up? It's your NFL pregame show. I'm Rob T. Radio.
Almost playoff time.
Well, for the people who matter. That's David. That's Sterls. We're all here to go through your bets. We normally say you're fantasy, but if you're playing fantasy this week, you're an absolute freak. Your survivor picks, if you're still in it, whatever, we're here. Go ahead and put questions, comments, concerns in the chat, and we will talk about all of it. But yeah, guys, I mean, I always start to get a little bit of anxiety when the college football regular season ends. And this is when it kind of dials all the way up to 11. Not only because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, but we are going to be in the playoffs. But also, number of snaps we get to watch is decreasing incredibly fast. I mean, we are running out of time here, fellas. So how you feeling about the end of the football season coming?
It's sad. It feels like it's gone too fast. I mean, it was just week 4 yesterday, it feels like, and then now we're at the end. But I guess this is where football begins. I mean, this is what we've been wanting this whole time, is to get to the playoffs. And I think there's some anxiety, some angst, some excitement. It's all over the place for me. But it's going to start to unravel. I like the story. We'll see what happens.
And even with the teams in the lower half of the league, this is where you get to start looking at your draft position and really get an idea, really get a feel for who you're going to take, who you're looking at. I mean, these teams who have suffered through an entire season, and trust me, we've been there. This is where you really start to get a picture as to how you might be able to improve your team next year. And Strohls, I know that's a big thing for you too. The NFL draft and all that. You really get a clearer picture after this week of what that's all going to look like.
The offseason has begun. The excitement for the draft and free agency, man, that's the best time for me. Not the season, it's the offseason. That's what I love the most. So, yeah, I'm eager to see like what the Patriots are going to do and some of these other teams that have a really good shot at, getting these top picks, and it's going to be interesting to see what their mindset is.
It sets up for some movement if the New England Patriots do end up with that number 1 overall pick, which is always fun. David, any thoughts on the end of the season before we get running here?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all season. You're going to wind up with some coaching changes, maybe some surprise coaching changes. You're going to wind up with a lot of quarterback movement. Obviously, the draft, teams that don't make the playoffs are actually in a spot right now where they're really hitting that draft hard. They're looking at all the college players. They're looking at potential free agents. They're going to focus on that, where other teams are going to be focused on the next game. And I know they have different departments and groups within the organizations, but this is where the rubber meets the road for the playoff teams for this year, and where the rubber meets the road for the non-playoff teams for starting the off season. So it's going to be cool. There are a couple games that don't matter as much this weekend, and a couple that mean everything. So it's going to be interesting for playoff seeding, and I'm excited for playoff football.
All right, well, before we go forward, I have to go back. And I have to let you guys properly torch me for what happened to me last week.
Ooh.
Because I was doing so well this season that I had enough money in my bank to up my unit, right? So instead of betting $5 every game, last week was the first time I decided, you know what, I'm going to throw $10 a game down. And the gambling gods came for me. I got the Kansas City game right. That was the first game of the weekend on Christmas, right? I then proceeded to not get another game right until the afternoon games on Sunday.
Damn.
I missed the Steelers game. I missed the Thursday night football game. I missed the 2-3 Saturday games. I missed the entire morning slate. I was only pulled out of the fire by then hitting every game from the afternoon on. Saved my bankroll. I hit the 2 afternoon games, the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. And now I can go back to betting $5 a game after I've been properly smacked by the gambling gods. It is my worst weekend in a very long time. I wasn't under 500 for any week this year. I think it was 5-11 or 5-10-1 maybe that I ended up going for this one. So go ahead. Just
that was the football god saying, "Stay in your lane."
yeah.
Take your money.
But I will say, because of our podcast and the amount of work we do going into this and the amount of conversation we have, I went 14-2 last week and had myself a nice little week.
Oh, wow. See, that's nice there, buddy.
I bet you didn't tempt the gambling gods by changing your unit. What did you remember what you did last week, Cyril?
Hey, man, look, I bet every game individually. I did pretty well, but I had a few parlays though that I put some money on, and I did a couple games where I was doing live drive betting. So I came out from the week plus 200.
Damn. How many parlays did you hit on?
I didn't hit the parlays. I skunked on all 3 parlays, but I only had
just from straight betting.
Yeah. So no, not just straight betting, but live drive betting. So between straight bets and live drive bets, I was up 200 last week.
So you found your little niche there, dog.
There you go.
I think I have. Yeah, I think I'm a live drive better. Like I need to see and feel it. You know,
that's how I feel about the in-game betting too. It's why I middle so much. Is because like you can be watching a game and the score does not say how you feel about the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Only thing that killed
I've done
me
some
was
stupid shit though. Like I've put like 100 down, 125.
Damn.
Yeah, but it's fun. I'm telling you,
more than a unit is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's because like like when you guys know if you get a hot hand or you just have a feel, and I've flexed it a couple times and I lost once or twice, but I've hit 3 or 4. So. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's for me. That's what works for me.
And David, are you doing anything special after cleaning up for a week? Because it's been a couple weeks here. You've been on a little bit of a heater.
Yeah, it's been good. I think kind of studying some of the injuries and looking at some of the teams. The thing that killed me last week was the Giants. The Giants coming out.
They got me. That was one of the games that got me.
I was like, I had a couple parlays just because I'll take underdogs, I'll take kind of the higher odds stuff, stack them together, and put $1 on it or whatever. So the Giants winning fucked me out of probably $2,000 worth of worth of potential winnings. But it is what it is, man. It's been a good. It's been a good probably 4 weeks. I sent you my picks when I was in Norway, but most of those hit pretty well. I just couldn't bet on the BetMGM app in Norway. But honestly, the last 4 have been good.
Did the Cowboys screw you over too? Because the Cowboys got me, man.
Those were my 2.
Yeah,
2 losses.
Who were the Cowboys last week? I can't remember. The
Eagles, and there was a 7-point spread in favor of the Eagles.
Yeah, that got me too.
And I went with the Cowboys like a dumbass.
Jerks.
Yeah, that got me too. Obviously, a whole bunch of them got me, so there's no surprise there. But I'm chalking it up to the fact that I have never bet the week before the game. I always am sitting here with you guys betting. And last week I was in New York. I had to put the bets in early.
Yeah.
Put them in before I left, and we're chalking it up to that. That was the problem. We're back now. We're back, baby. All right. So let's do this thing. We'll get into all the games this week. We'll try to give you an idea of what's at stake for the games, as well as, if somebody's resting or not. But, all the statistics for this week, you kind of just toss out the window. It's a little bit, and I did hear somebody on I think it was BetQL, say, you think the teams that had nothing to play for would be getting crushed in these games. Turns out, no. There's something to the spoiler. And against the spread, the teams that have nothing to play for actually do very well. So just because a team has no motivation doesn't mean you necessarily bet against them. Listen, they know that on Monday, they're on vacation. So go for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, like leave it all out there. So let's talk about a few of these. We'll start with the game. ESPN and ABC have the doubleheader today, the NFC North doubleheader. We'll start with Browns and Ravens. This is the biggest point spread I've ever seen
20?
For an NFL game. I don't think I've ever seen a 20-plus point spread. If one of you knows different, feel free to correct me. But I cannot. I remember I've seen 17, I've seen 18, I've seen 16. I don't think I've ever seen a 20-point spread. Browns plus 20 in Baltimore. It's supposed to be cold and shitty. David, what do you got for us on this one?
Couple injuries here. Cleveland with Jerome Ford, their running back. Hicks, their linebacker. David Njoku's out, and so is Pierre Strong, their running back. Denzel Ward also out. Ravens looking pretty healthy right now. Again, this is one of those you play spoiler. Sturls will get into it here in a little bit with playoff seeding, but doesn't mean shit to the Browns other than to piss off the Ravens. So,
well, it does mean something because currently they are tied for the number one overall pick at 3-13. There's a four-way tie at 3-13 with the Giants, the Browns, the Titans, and the Patriots. And then they go by strength of schedule. So currently they're the third overall pick. But obviously strength of schedule is going to change depending on other teams' wins and losses. And the standings will change as well. Sturls, what do you got for this?
So let's talk about that playoff seeding for the Ravens. They currently sit at number 3, though. If they lose, they go down to number 5. I think they're going to come out with the starters, guns blazing. I'm not sure about that spread, but the Ravens are going to win this game because they have something to play for. The Ravens also have the Chargers snipping at them, and also the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this isn't a game where they can come in and just, relax and just kind of, ease through it. They actually have to come in here and play solid football. So the betting community, though, let's talk about that real quick. It's a 20-point spread. 48% of bettors, have picked the Browns against the spread. Now there's still 52% of Ravens, but the disparity of that, I don't think people are really feeling the Ravens to win this game by 20 points. And then on the money line, obviously you're going to go with the Ravens at 93%. The over-under, keep in mind, Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be starting at quarterback today, and that number is 41.5, and the over is 83%. It was there?
Yeah, I think they're going to go with Bailey Zappi.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's even worse.
I heard this morning.
Well, I don't know. Is that worse? Bailey Zappi's coming to play solid football.
Yeah, dude, he's been kind of a baller as like I'm a fourth string quarterback, but he's been kind of a baller from time to time. I don't know.
Think about this. It's the last week of the year. You don't want your starters injured, so you go in, you lay 14 points. It's 14-0. Ravens up. Now, that's a pretty close game, but you would probably start to peel off some of your starters and make sure that nobody gets injured because you need them for the playoff push. And I'm not sure the Browns are going to score 14 unanswered points or more. So right now, that 20 points, it feels like if they got up 18, 15 points, they start pulling starters, and maybe your Browns are playing for a little bit of pride. 20 points is too much for my blood, so I'm taking the Browns here. That's just 20 points is fucking disrespectful.
Yeah. I mean, if you're the Ravens, what's the mindset this week? I mean, yeah, you got to go out, you got to win, but man, like I would be terrified if I'm the coach of just these stupid injuries that just happen. Like, man, you especially they can't afford to have it happen on defense. I mean, their defense is kind of, come to life here, but man, that's got to be tough for them, that mindset. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this moving forward. And in the third quarter, like, what are they going to do? Depending on where the game's at. So we'll see.
Who do you got, Searles?
I got the Ravens. I still think the Ravens are going to win by 20.
By 20?
Well, I mean, look, Bailey Zappi, he hasn't played all season. Like,
no David Njoku.
I mean,
yeah, I hear you, Doug. Listen, everything points to how much better the Ravens are than the Browns, but it's going to be cold.
All right,
these guys aren't going to get a bye week. I mean,
right.
Listen, but
switch it. Hold on, let me switch it. I'll take the Browns.
Oh, see,
let me take the Browns. Take the Browns because it's a division game too. It is a division game, and I forgot about that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, listen. The Ravens do have something to play for. right? Like it is important. They can slip all the way to the 6. So we're not just talking about a home playoff game, but we're talking about having to face the Chiefs in the second round. We're talking about
let's have that.
Maybe having to go completely on the road. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we're talking about that could be a problem if you puke on yourself and lose this game. I have no idea how they lose this game. I really can't imagine.
It's tough.
Pull all of your starters and
yeah, I mean,
make
maybe
it weird.
If they do it like the Bills are going to do, where the starters really just make a cameo, and then it's all backups, then maybe they can lose this game. But even then, I don't know. Here's the thing. You guys know I've said it about 10-point spreads. I'll definitely say it about a 20-point spread.
Yeah.
Don't tell an NFL team they're 20 points worse than another NFL team. That's where you start kicking in the pride, and these are professional athletes. They do see that, and I think they do know. So I'll be interested to see how the Browns respond here. Really, what I need from Bailey Zappi, 2 field goals. If he puts up 6 points, you think the Ravens are scoring more than 26? I don't. It's cold. They're going to pull their starters. I think they put up 21 points, and it ends like 21-6 or something like that, and you know what I mean? You end up
just get them in range.
Here's one quick playoff note from PFF. It says if the Ravens lose, they must hope that the Steelers lose against the Bengals. Yep. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers win, the Ravens are locked into the 5 as they own the tiebreaker against the Chargers because of their head-to-head win.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. If they lose and the Chargers win, they still can't beat them?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if a coach knows he's likely to be let go after the season, wouldn't you want your last game to make the job harder for the next guy with worse draft picks? Listen, Lovie Smith tried to do that a couple years ago, and the Texans ended up with C.J. Stroud instead of Bryce Young. So you just never really know, to be honest.
Is that bad now? Like, shoot.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like they ended up with the better part of the deal because Lovie Smith won a game at the end of the year.
God. That's
so
crazy,
yeah, I don't know.
man.
It's an interesting little.
Here's
thing.
a trivia question. Ready? Where did Lovey go, Coach, after that Bears stint?
After the Bears stint, or after the Houston stint? I don't know where he's been after Houston. He was he was with the Illini after the Bears.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, the old Big Ten football.
Hey man, I love that. That's a dude that wants to fucking coach. Like if you're gonna go coach
Illinois.
Yeah, at Illinois. And like Bielema's turned them around a little bit, but if you're gonna go fucking coach at Illinois, like you want to coach. I love that about Lovey, you know what I mean?
He just got Bills
AFC.
Man.
Yeah, so Bengals and Steelers is the other game today. That's a 6:00 start. Again, ABC or ESPN. Lot to play for on both sides here. Steelers now 1 game back of the Ravens. They're trying to win the NFC North. Maybe it was them that can slip to the 6. Yeah, because they're tied with the Chargers right now. So the Chargers could pop up to the 5. Steelers could slip to the 6. Bengals still technically alive for a playoff spot because, hey, man, the Broncos can't win a fucking football game. What is going on? Bengals get the win last week. It was a tough loss for the Broncos. I do want to talk about when we get there some decisions that they made, but we'll keep this Bengals themed. They need the Broncos to lose and the Dolphins to lose, and then they would get the number 7 seed and go to Buffalo to play the Bills. This game is a 2.5 point spread. Steelers are getting 2.5 points at home. David, who do you like here?
So we got a couple injuries here that may kind of slow down Pittsburgh's offense. Roman Wilson, the wide receiver, is out. They have a couple small injuries on the defense. Their linebacker, Cole Holcomb's out, and Lee, their defensive lineman, is out. For Cincinnati, they're actually getting pretty healthy. Sam Hubbard's the only one listed officially as out right now. I got Cincinnati. They are, while the Steelers are playing for better seeding, I think right now the Bengals are playing for their life. They only go up to, I think, 11% with a win. So if they have any hope of making the playoffs after a dismal start to this season, you need it. You need this win. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals minus 2.5. I do love that the Steelers are a home dog. I'm sure Rob's looking at that one. Oh, Frankie J going with Pitt. All right. Sturls, what you got?
I just don't have much confidence in the Steelers, man. So I'm gonna definitely pick the Bengals. The Bengals are 10-6 against the spread this season, and the Steelers are also 10-6 against the spread this season. So, there's not much disparity there. The spread suggests that you put your money with the Bengals minus the 2.5. On the money line, Bengals again with 63%, the under over, which I think the over is pretty tempting here. 48.5 and 78% has gone with the over in that case. So I think that the Bengals aren't a heater. Joe Burrow has been playing solid all season. I just don't know if the Steelers are going to be able to go point for point with these guys. I know it's a division game, but man, the last 3 weeks, how much hope and faith have you had in this Steelers offense? Not that much. I mean, so I guess we'll see how it goes. Maybe the Steelers control the game on the ground. I think that's their best bet to kind of keep Joe Burrow and these guys off the field. But give me the Bengals minus 2.5.
And these first two games are huge for the AFC playoff picture. Huge. Yeah. So Saturday is going to tell us so much about what the postseason is going to look like.
Yeah, it's definitely going to set it up a little bit.
So back to PFF here. So it says and we're talking about the Bengals here. So they're, like you mentioned, Rob, they are could be the number 7. So it says the Bengals need both the Dolphins and the Broncos to lose and take care of business against the Steelers on Saturday. In that case, they would end up in a 2-way tie with the Broncos, which they would win because of their head-to-head win from last week. So Broncos, they puked
all over themselves.
We'll get there.
Oh, buddy.
I don't want to bash them too much, but we'll get to the Broncos when we get to that game, which is an afternoon game on Sunday. Who did you bet on?
Bengals.
We both took the Bengals on this one.
Okay, good. I'll take the Steelers.
There you go.
I'll take the Steelers. I like those home dogs. 2.5 points. Listen, here's my firm belief about this. The Steelers, I think, are on a 3-game losing streak right now, and if they lose this one, they're going to go into the playoffs losing 4 in a row. There's just no way. Mike Tomlin lets that happen, man.
I don't trust Russell Wilson not to throw a stupid interception in the fourth quarter with them winning.
It's going to be cold. That Steelers defense is going to be turned up. I mean, I listen.
So
let
me ask you a question, Rob, and both of you, because Frankie J has been watching us all season long, and he's typically wrong. So, what do you?
Are you just saying that about some rando? I hope that's your boy.
No. Hey, I got to give Frankie shit. But now that he says he's going to take Pitt, you got to go with the Bengals for a clean sweep, man.
No, man.
You going to stick with Pittsburgh?
No, I'm sticking with Pittsburgh. The Bengals have won what now? 4 in a row. It's just like at some point the NFL catches up with. There's no way. And like Burrow's been great. I get it. I don't know, man. I'll take the home dog.
With your whole chest, you're gonna go with the Steelers.
Steelers defense
is expected to play.
Steelers defense in that cold weather. Give me the Steelers.
You're bold.
I'll take the 2.5 points at home.
You're bold.
All right. Let's start going through the Sunday slate tomorrow, 11 o'clock. There's most of these games mean something one way or the other. So we'll try to fly through them kind of quick here because some of them it doesn't mean a whole ton. And then the ones that don't mean anything, we'll just kind of slap and go on. Slap the bag and go on. But we'll start with Panthers, Falcons. Panthers getting 8.5 here. Falcons need a win and need Tampa Bay to lose to win the NFC South. That'll get them into the 4th spot in the playoff seeding because the NFL is stupid and automatically gives you a home playoff game if you win your division. It's a complaint I have every year. We can fight about that if you want. But Panthers getting 8.5. They've been a whole lot better recently. Bryce Young has looked better. The Panthers have looked game. They've won a couple of games here and actually hurt their draft position, falling all the way down to the 6th pick. And they could fall even farther. They might fall out of the top 10 with a win in this game. So Panthers, Falcons, David, who you got? Panthers plus 8.5.
So with this game, Atlanta's actually really healthy right now, which is the first time this year they've been pretty solid. They really need this win and a Tampa Bay loss to stay in the playoffs. They can't be a wild card team. Carolina's defense is decimated right now. Their linebacker Barno's out. J.C. Horn, their cornerbacks out. Josie Jewell, the linebackers out. Johnson, their other cornerbacks out. And DJ Johnson, their other linebackers out. So right now, I think coverage is going to be an issue. I think Atlanta is going to want this more. And I think Carolina doesn't want to hurt their draft stock. So give me the Falcons. That 8.5 is a little scary for me, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Falcons because they want it and they need it. And the defense for Carolina is hurt. So give me.
Isn't that a song? I want it. I need it. Sterls, who you got?
It's like, what do you want or need? Huh? You know what I'm saying? It could go either way. So let's talk about this game here. Man, you know what? Even though if you look at the brand of these teams, there's a lot at stake for both these teams, really. Especially the Falcons. You want to talk about that first? Or you want me to get into the numbers?
Let's talk about the Falcons and what's at stake first.
All right. So with the Falcons, they with a win, they can get number 4. With a loss, they're out. So the Falcons are out of wildcard contention, but they could win the NFC South with a win against the Panthers. If the Buccaneers lose, in that case, they would win the tiebreaker because of a head-to-head sweep. Isn't that interesting, huh? So let's go to the betting aspect of it. The Falcons are 6-9-1 against the spread, while the Panthers are at 7-9 with a late season surge. The spread is 7.5, and 60% of bettors have put their money minus 7.5 with the Falcons. On that money line, they're going 95% with the Falcons, and then the under/over at 48 points is 70% on the over. So with that being said, the Falcons always seem to disappoint at gotta-have-it moments. I'm going to go with the Panthers in the spread here, plus 7.5.
This is a hard one to read. It's actually, so at BetMGM, it's 8.5. So if you want to flip over to BetMGM and get yourself that extra point, Sterls, go for it. But,
let me do that right now.
Listen, I'm going to say this with my whole fucking chest. Here you go, Storcia.
Okay.
Penix is a dude, man. And we on my station on Altitude, we've got a ex-college head coach, Mike Sanford, good dude, and he has been on Penix since the combine. He went to the Senior Bowl, went to the combine. He's been all over Penix's nuts, and I think he's right. I really do. I like Penix a lot. The main question for me is, can he stay healthy? But this is one of the hardest games to read because it's one of the only games where you have a quarterback change for the team that wants to win. Watching the Falcons with Penix last week, they looked like a totally different team.
They look like a team. Imagine if they had started that earlier and not given up all that money to Kirk Cousins.
But the question is, would he have been ready? You know what I mean? How much did sitting and learning help him when you're talking about the offense? So it's interesting. This Falcons team isn't the same team, I think, and yet they still lost last week. Now, the Commanders are a pretty good team, playoff team. So it's tough to get a read on. And then conversely, Panthers, they bench Bryce Young, they bring him back, and since they brought him back, he's been good.
Yeah.
I like the Falcons in this one because I think Michael Penix is going to rise to the occasion. I don't think it's going to matter in the long run. Give you a little foreshadowing there, but I think the Falcons do get this one, and I'll lay the 8.5 points.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, dog.
You guys are right. I mean, they did look like a completely different offense when Penix was in there. It's just, man, that's a lot of responsibility for a rookie in his second start.
But I think we all appreciate it. Like Sterls, you and I last year spent a lot of time talking about Washington. Mm-hmm. And I think we really appreciated how mature Penix was. He's got the arm to make the throws, but he doesn't always force it in there. He knows when to take those chances because he can trust his guys. And there's plenty of talent on that Falcons offense to say, I'm going to throw it up for Drake London and see what happens. You know what I mean? Sure. So I think I like his decision-making process. He's also got the arm to do it. And then he's got the legs for when he doesn't feel like he can do either of those things. So, I just like him a lot. Are you not high on his evaluation right now, Sterls?
No, I was pretty high on it. I had him and Bo Nix is probably very similar in how they operate and see the field. I do like Penix as a distributor. He's more like a point guard for an offense, and he didn't take a lot of risky chances last week. And for a rookie in their first start, like you talked about the poise. I mean, we saw that. I mean, if you watch Michael Penix, you saw that at the University of Indiana. I mean, he's always kind of had this locked in, he's a gamer.
Mature. The way I can say it is mature.
So I guess for me, it comes down to the offensive coordinator, what that game plan is. Because if you give Michael Penix, everything that he needs to be successful, I think you could just let him run the offense. But if you go in there and you try to get cute this week, I think that's where you're going to have, a lot of issues, because Michael Penix is not the guy because of the injuries. He's not the guy he used to be where he could just scramble and make plays off cue and all that. He needs a system. So if you can provide him a system and concrete, tangible things to do in this offense, I think he can succeed. It's just a lot on the line this week. So that's why I'm kind of with the set, the plus 7.5 or 8.5 with the Panthers here. Bryce Young's been playing well. Penix looked really good last week. It's a tough one, man. It's real tough.
It might be the most intriguing game of the morning slate. Like there might be games that mean more. That might be the most intriguing game to watch two young quarterbacks and see how they fight each other.
And Stills, I wouldn't be mad if you parlayed, Carolina for the spread and then took Atlanta for the money line. That I would actually feel pretty good about.
Yeah, that's another route you can go. And I mean, it'd be nice if the Panthers lost, just because I don't like Dave Tepper. Like, I want nothing good for him at all. But if the NFL could just take his ownership away and give it to somebody else, that'd be great. So if
Frank says somebody, the Panthers are so bad it might make Penix look good. This isn't a good game for a true evaluation. Listen, the divide in the NFL this year, and I think this is something to talk about overall, the divide between the good teams and the bad teams has never been bigger. This is the most we've had settled going into a week 18 in years. And I think you say the Panthers are so bad, it's not worth a true evaluation. Beating bad teams is important. It's how the Broncos are in a playoff spot right now, and they're still in it. They haven't clinched it, but they're still in a playoff spot, and all they've done is beat bad teams. You got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. It's the first step to being a good team, and this is how we can find out, I think, if the Falcons are going to be a good team moving forward. Can they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, a la the 4-12 Panthers?
And it goes down to coaching, right? So this is more of a Dave Canales evaluation than it is any quarterback that suits up in this game. I mean, good teams, good coaches, they win the games that they're supposed to win, like against bad teams. So we'll see.
Yep. And that to the example that I gave you, Sean Payton, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can say whatever you want about him, but his team is ready. They come out to play. They beat bad teams. And look, all of a sudden they've got 9 wins on the season.
Coach of the year for me.
Yeah, it's been impressive. All right, Commanders and Cowboys. What's at stake here is playoff positioning. So I do think the Commanders are going to make a run at this. Cooper Rush and the Cowboys have kept things interesting in most of the games until we decided last week to say, hey, they've kept the games interesting, and then they get absolutely blasted by the Eagles. Yeah, it ruined a bunch of our days. But the Commanders, how fun was that Sunday night football game that got flexed in, Falcons and Commanders? Jaden Daniels is a dude. And don't get me wrong, he's going to go through bumps in his career, but I texted my friend who's an Eagles fan, and the Eagles are locked into the 2. So they will play the 6th seed. And I said, who do you want, Packers or Commanders? Or the 7th seed, I'm sorry. I said, who do you want, Packers or Commanders? He said Packers. And I think that's pretty telling. I was like, man, that's a lot of respect coming off the top. And he's like, Jaden Daniels is real dog. I do not want to play him in the playoffs, even if it's in Philly. Give me love in the Packers. And I think the Packers have a much better roster. So that says a lot about Jaden Daniels. Commanders -6.5 on the road in Dallas. Dave, what do you got for this one?
Let me just start by saying the Commanders, I've been riding with them most of the season. Because I heard a bunch about Daniels and hopped on that train early, and is for the betting community, Commanders has been a good bet all season. Right now, there's a couple injuries here. Linebacker McGee, that one of their safeties, Owens, and their center Tyler Biadasz or Badass or however the fuck you say his name are out. Nope, Badass.
I like that one.
And then Dallas doesn't have any real injuries, so no huge injuries on either team. Give me the Commanders to kind of advance their seeding just a little bit, and Dallas to look like what the Cowboys have looked like most of the season.
Talk about that seeding for us, Sterls.
Yeah, so the Commanders could go. They're currently seated at number 6, so they can go between 6 or 7, and they're in a tie with the Packers. So the Commanders will claim the number 6 seed with the win against the Cowboys, as they would have a better conference record than the Green Bay Packers. Now, should the Commanders lose, they will fall to the number 7 if the Packers win or tie.
Okay. And who you like in this one, Sterls? Commanders -6.5 here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Commanders minus the 6.5 because the Cowboys fucked me and Dave last week. So I'm done with the Cowboys. Been done with the Cowboys since '94, but still.
I think it's an interesting question. If you're the Commanders, you can kind of control your own destiny a little bit here too, right? Would you rather play the Eagles in the 2 seed or not the Rams? It'll be the Rams in the 3 seed. So I think the Rams can move between the 3 and the 4. And the Rams, I don't think, are starting anybody. It'll be interesting to see. But would you rather, I think you want to win because you'd rather play the Rams or possibly an NFC South team instead of playing the Eagles. So I think this game's going to matter to the Commanders, right?
Right.
Don't y'all agree?
Yeah, so the Commanders would want the Falcons to get that number 4 seed. They need it in the worst way.
And the Bucks, I think, are the ones who can snap the Rams back to 4. So actually, I think they would want the Bucks to win because they would end up being in the 3 and then 6-3. So that to say, I think this game does matter to the Commanders because I don't think they want to go on the road to Philly to try to win a game here. Yeah, And listen, I don't think they've got a talented enough roster to win the whole thing, but I think they're live in the wild card round. If you get them the right matchup, I think you could see the Commanders win a playoff game. It's because Jaden Daniels has that Joe Burrow type heartbeat. It does not, his blood pressure does not change. So give me the Commanders here -6.5.
Yeah.
All right. Bears and Packers, our next game. Caleb Williams, I feel like it's been a while since we really talked about the Bears. They had a Thursday night game and I don't know, something before that, but we haven't talked about him in a couple weeks. It has gotten bad in Chicago, in my opinion. Bears plus 10 points. They're playing those Packers, and we just talked about what the seeding means for them. They're bouncing between the 6 and the 7, and whoever is the loser in that has to go play the Eagles. That 7 seed will be the Packers if both teams win or both teams lose. And so, Packers -10 here, I feel like is tough because, they want to win. But if they see that other game getting away, they might just sit everybody down and not play. David, who do you got for resting in terms of how seriously they're taking this game?
So I made this pick before the injury announcements came out, and then I saw this. Cornerback Jair Alexander out. Anderson,
he hasn't played much of the year,
out.
though.
Yeah, and when he played, he hasn't been good.
Their tackle, Andre Dillard, out. Quay Walker, their linebacker, out. Evan Williams, their other safety, out. And then for Chicago, you've got Hicks, their safety, Homer, the running back, and Tevin Jenkins, their tackle, out. So kind of fairly substantial stuff. Again, if I'm Green Bay, the last thing I want is to have to play Philly in the first week of the playoffs. So I'm doing everything I can to win this game. 10 points is tough. If I had placed the bet and did that after reading the injuries, I don't think I would have been comfortable with 10. I chose the Packers. But I would understand if you took the Bears right now, though they look like a team in disarray as well.
Stills, what you got?
So would you believe that the Packers have a winning record against the spread this season? I mean, the Bears. The Bears.
I was gonna say I would absolutely believe the Packers have a win record against the spread.
The Bears are 8-7-1 against the spread, and so are the Packers with the same identical record against the spread. That's crazy. A tale of two teams going in different directions. The betting community, though, suggests that you take the Packers minus the 10, and then you go money line. Obviously, you're going to go with the Packers, and then there's a good chance, 83% on the over in this game, which is 41.5. So
that's pretty low.
Yeah, right. So you can smash that. I don't know, man. You don't know what version of Caleb Williams in this offense you're going to get, but yeah, I would feel comfortable in taking the Packers minus 10 here.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say hit that over, but they played a 6-3 game last week. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I think. Listen, I think the interim head coach is in way over his head. This guy was a quarterback coach,
got not ready,
elevated to offensive coordinator, and then elevated to interim head coach, and like a poor guy. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't his choice to do this. He's not going to turn down an opportunity like that, obviously, but I think he's in over his head. That said, 10 points. I mean, you know my rule, and I'm sticking with it here. I just don't think. I don't think either team is going to really show up here. I think this is going to be the most boring game of the day. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll take the 10 points and just kind of see where it lands me. Yeah. Real quick here, we didn't talk about the Cowboys draft position because they have really hurt themselves. They are currently 13th in the draft order because they've kept things interesting. They've been eliminated for a couple weeks and really like virtually eliminated for over a month. And they've won a few games here, and they've dropped down to the 13th pick.
They could have been, I think it was number 7 or number 8 at one point, and then they railed off a couple of wins, and you're like,
the highest they can go is 11.
Yeah,
because the New Orleans is 5-11. They have a 2-game lead on them. So even if New Orleans wins, you're not going to pass them.
Right.
So they won't. There's no way they can even crack the top 10 at 7-9. They really hurt themselves. As far as the Bears go, right now they're sitting at the 9th pick. Their strength of schedule is putting them last amongst the 4-12 teams. And so they're sitting at number 9. But if a couple of those 4-12 teams get wins, I mean, listen, they could even jump as high as the number 1 pick, depending on strength of schedule, if all the 3-win teams get a win. Now, of course, that's asking a lot, but that is all just to say if the Bears take a loss here, they could get, to 2 to 3. You could really there's going to be a lot of movement in these top 10 picks.
So, Rob, you're taking the Bears?
And so I'm taking the Bears plus 10.
So would you gentlemen be into maybe taking the Bears for the spread, Packers for the money line, bundling that together? Does that do anything for you?
I mean, listen, if you were really itching to bet on this game, which I'm not, I would also throw the over in there and just see.
I'm get weird with it.
Yeah, I mean, Packers to win over 41 and plus 10. Yeah, I mean, I could get weird like that. What about you, Sterls?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take the Bears plus the points. I've fallen victim to this Bears team so many times this season. I just don't have much confidence. Like their offense is so hit or miss. It's tough. I mean, you got guys dropping balls a lot. Like Keenan Allen dropped so many passes this year. Roma Dunze, who we love, right? We talked a lot about him.
Rome.
Man, it's just like the chemistry is just not there. It's just not there. So
and I think they need a real ass. I mean, I think it's a coaching problem. You know what I mean? I think they need a real ass coach in there, no doubt.
So at least on BetMGM, Bears plus 10 over a 41, Packers money line gets you plus 450.
Yeah, I'm staying off of it, dog.
Now,
what are these parlays you guys been cooking up lately?
Hey man, it's been nice over here. But Rob, to your point though about the draft positioning, like I mean, the Cowboys have they screwed themselves. Like they're very Buffalo Bills-esque 7-9 right now.
Yes.
So the good news about that is this draft is got some guys in it. So even at 11 or 13, they can still get a difference maker. So, all is not lost. I mean, it'd be one thing if they were looking for a quarterback. They just signed Dak. So I think they'll be okay.
Now, so let's real quick on the Bears here, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. We'll do off-season shows talking about this kind of stuff. But on the Bears here, I mean, top 10 offensive linemen, Sturls, because really, I think they have all the weapons that they need, and of course they could go defense, but they've spent a lot of money on their defense. In my mind, I think they're looking for an offensive lineman and a coach to properly scheme that fucking offense together.
Yeah.
But I believe it's a weak draft for offensive linemen at the top.
Yeah, it's not as good as years past, but you can look at Will Campbell, tackle from LSU, and Kelvin Banks from Texas. Like for where they're drafting, you can kind of, I would take those guys in the top 10. Those are two really good, solid tackle prospects. So, yeah, I mean,
so there's a little bit of value there.
Yeah, but as far as tackle goes after that, it's really not that strong in my opinion.
Well, that's what I think they need to clean up is the offensive line, and then, like I said, it's I think about coaching. All right, let's spend about 4 seconds on this game. Jaguars and Colts, two coaching staffs that I think are going to be blown out on the plane ride home. Jaguars plus 3.5 in Indianapolis. David, I mean, whatever, yeah.
Anthony Richardson's out for Indy.
Which
Walker
might make
Little,
them better.
Or worse. It depends which Joe Flacco you get. It's kind of hit or miss here. And then Walker Little, the tackle for Jacksonville's out. I don't care about this game.
We bet every game, David.
I'm gonna fine. Give me the Jaguars. Give me the Jaguars plus 4. Oh, I had it at plus 4
right now. Sturls, what do you got?
So I'm gonna go with the Colts here and Joe Flacco. I mean, the Jaguars they've been a complete disappointment this season. They're currently 8-7-1 against the spread, and the Colts are 9-7 against the spread. The community suggests that you go with the Colts minus the 3.5 at 52%, but that's not a lot of margin there. So it's kind of divided in the community on the spread. The money line suggests you go with the Colts at 92% and the under over at 79%. That number is 43.5. So I think these teams can end up scoring and smashing that over, to be honest. Even though, the records aren't that great, but these teams at times have found some heat in a bottle and been explosive on offense. So if you want to go the over, I take the over in this game, but give me the Colts minus the 3.5.
Currently, the Colts in that 7 and 9 spot, the same position that Dallas is in. The highest that they can move is 11, because New Orleans is defending that 10th pick with a 5-11 record, so they are 2 games ahead. So Indianapolis in a tough spot. Should have won your game last week and had to look at the playoffs because, there's nothing for you draft-wise. Jaguars, on the other hand, they are the worst of the 4-12 teams when it comes to the strength of schedule. Their strength of schedule currently is 474, and if all the 3-loss teams were to win and they were to lose, it put them at the number 2 pick, so they can still move up even. They just need some of those 3-win teams to win a game. But currently they are in the 5th position drafting. Real quick before we move on here, you are the owner, you are Shad Khan. Knowing that you're going to reset your whole coaching staff and probably your GM as well, do you believe in Trevor Lawrence, David?
No, I trade him. I try and get as much as possible for him. Somebody who will absorb that contract. San Francisco, Pittsburgh, the Jets.
Likely the 2 quarterbacks off the board before you pick. Giants, Titans, Browns all in front of you, so you'd have to make a trade to get up and get a quarterback in the draft. Sturls, do you believe in Trevor Lawrence?
I do believe in Trevor Lawrence. I just don't believe in the structure. Well, in the structure that he's had around him. So if they could get a good coach in there, I think it's worth keeping him. You've already signed him to that large contract. So draft-wise, I mean, the Jags should be looking at defensive tackle. They need a lot of help on the interior. Mason Graham would be a great fit for them at 4.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, it would cost them so much to get up and get a quarterback. They would have to hope New England stays in that 1 spot and then send him a couple first-round picks to get up there. It would be real expensive, and that's what you would have to do to replace that quarterback. All right, speaking of the Patriots, they take on the Bills in one of the most interesting games for what it means and what it doesn't over the week. The Bills 13-3 are locked into the 2 seed. The Patriots 3-13 are grasping onto the number 1 overall pick. The Bills have said Josh Allen is going to keep his start streak, so you'll see him at the start of the game for maybe even one play. Like, I don't even know. They might not even do a whole drive.
Hand off the ball, walk off the field.
I think they might want to get him another touchdown or two just to put an exclamation point on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a full drive from him. But we'll see Mitch Trubisky for most of this game and Mike White probably for some of it. Yeah. A bunch of Bills players are probably going to be down. We know Terrell Bernard is one of them. Patriots, on the other hand, there's been questions about if Drake May is even going to play. It's right now Patriots plus 3.5 at home. What do you have on the Drake May situation for us, David?
So he's still officially listed as questionable with that hand injury. I think they're going to play it safe. One, if they win, they're out of the number 1 draft pick. So why would you risk your future quarterback for next year any additional injury? Sit him down. They've also got a good amount of other injuries here. Brown, their center, is going to be out. Christian Gonzalez, their lockdown cornerback's out. Jalen Polk is out, the wide receiver. Jabril Peppers, and they have 6 others questionable, including Drake May.
Sounds like sounds like an outfit going for a tank there, doesn't it?
It does. Hey, that's a good point, though.
That's exactly what it sounds like. So I'm going to take the Bills here. One, I think they have the talent in their first level and second level kind of reserve players. You're going to see Joe Andreessen with a 45 tackle game. It's going to be insanity for Buffalo. But yeah, give me the Bills here. I think New England is going to come out. They're going to try. I just don't know how hard you would try to lose that 1 seed and potentially get 2 or 3 first-round draft picks when you move back to number 2, 3, 4. And then they get Travis Hunter or somebody else to really light them up for next year. So give me the Bills here. That's an easy one for me.
I think you're being generous saying that they're going to try. Sterles, what do you got here?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Amari Cooper will not be with the team due to personal reasons, a family matter.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so that came out just 5 minutes ago. So the betting community, though, has the New England Patriots, okay, plus 3.5 against the spread because of the Trubisky and Bills kind of sitting their players out. The money line suggests you go with the Bills as well. 60%, and the under-over is 36.5.
That's so low.
So,
but it may be too high.
Right. So I probably feel comfortable taking the under here. Quick note: the Bills need 1 passing touchdown to from a guy that doesn't have any this season to break the NFL record for different receivers.
KJ
Hamler might be the guy tomorrow, so we'll see. But I probably put my money on the New England Patriots plus a 3.5 this week.
Ooh,
I don't bet on my own team, so I like to say that because I don't actually place this bet, but I do tell you what I think every week. And I think the Bills back up, like I know they played them tough last week or 2 weeks ago. I think that was fluky. I think the Bills backups might beat the Patriots starters. So I'm definitely going to take the Bills backups versus the Patriots backups when the Patriots are trying to lose. I mean, come on. Sterles, that note is interesting. It was one that I was going to bring up. They might not put up touchdown props for this game because it's such a weird right like they might not put up props at all, but lots of times when you're betting touchdowns you can bet anyone else. Have you guys seen that? Yep. So if you have the chance to bet anyone else, I would take that opportunity because like you said, they want that touchdown record. They're going to go for it. And conversely, David, my bet is Alec Anderson, not KJ Hamler. as the
What about
guy
Reggie
who
Gilliam?
reports as eligible, and
Reggie Gilliam could be that guy.
Gets himself
Shovel
a touchdown. Pass? I mean, come on, who doesn't want a big man touchdown? You know what I mean?
I would love a thick six. Give me that big boy touchdown.
Wow, we're getting bold now. Ray Davis is going to have a lot of targets.
I can't hear you guys. So I'm going to move on to the next game because I can talk.
There you go.
All right, so next game is Giants and Eagles. Another game that's interesting for the fact that nobody wants it. The Eagles don't want to win because they don't want to give the Giants a high draft pick here. And it's going to be hard to analyze this game because you don't know who's going to be in or out. Saquon Barkley has said that he is sitting down, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think it's Drew Lock for this one. The Giants desperately want to lose this game. They're in the 4th draft position right now with a chance to move up here. So, David, what do you got for this one?
Lots of injuries and lots of rest here for the Giants. McFadden, their linebacker, Evan Neal, their tackle, John Michael Schmitz, their center, Watts, their D tackle, and Stroman, their cornerback, are all out. For Philly, they're going to be resting a bunch of players, including Saquon, Braun, their linebacker, A.J. Brown won't play, Carter, their monster defensive tackle, is not playing. Nakobe Dean is not going to play. Landon Dickerson's not going to play. Jalen Hurts is not going to play.
I mean, they're trying to give this game to the Giants. You know,
they're trying to. I think the Giants don't want it more because they'll take a new year with a big draft. So I'm still going to go the Eagles with the 2.5, but I don't feel great about it.
Man,
Eagles minus 2.5. You're still okay.
The Eagles have kind of been for the past 2 weeks been kind of playing like it's been preseason. I mean, just how much they've been rotating their starters in and out. They see what's ahead and they're trying to get healthy. So I don't think there's anything different about this game really. And we're gonna see more backup quarterback play. We know Jalen Hurts hasn't been healthy enough to play. I mean, this is an Eagles roster that is loaded with talent. So I have full faith and confidence in these Eagles to get that, minus 2.5 this week. I think they get that spread and they win this game convincingly.
And I totally disagree. The Giants are a team that's been playing for nothing for forever, except for one thing. Drew Lock was pissed that Tommy DeVito got the start over him.
Yep.
A couple weeks back. And he had to come in because of injury after that. And I think that's why he was turned up. I think he said, I don't give about this organization. And that's why he won that game last week to put him in the 4th overall draft pick. And I think he wins another game this week to put him down bottom of the top 10.
That's bold.
I think he's heated. I think he's pissed about it. And I think they've already – that Giant team has already found motivation for what to play for when they've got nothing to play for. You know what I mean? So I kind of like the Giants in this situation. I like that I'm getting 2.5 points. And I don't know. I think Drew Lock wants to stick it to him.
Can I ask you a question? Now, you do realize that the Giants played the Colts last week.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the Colts. But the Eagles, man, that roster they're 2-3 deep at every position just about. Like, I just have a hard time.
Arguably the best roster in football.
Yeah, right. It's just, man, that's tough. Like, and you think about that locker room, like this could be Brian Daboll's last game. Like he could be coming back to Buffalo because, I mean, it's just so. Rob, I think, hey man, you need the Eagles to steamroll these guys. Okay, that's what you really need.
Listen, I just want to say that I don't think Dable keeps his job even if they win. Which I think is a mistake too, by the way, especially if you're going to draft a young quarterback. This is the guy that I think, want in that room. He has proven, and listen, maybe Josh Allen's great without him, but he has proven he is able to bring along a young, talented quarterback. If you're going to get a young guy in there, I would keep Dable, but that's aside from the point. I do have 2 questions for you. Well, I have 1 question for you, and I just want to say something. Sterls, you're saying they played the Colts last week. Do you know how many points they put up?
A lot.
45. They put up 45 points. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, whew. Now, if the Eagles have a weakness, it's in the secondary. They're starting a couple rookies there. If those guys don't play, you really get into a thin depth position kind of there. I think like Drew Lock, man, he wanted all the smoke.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to want the same thing this week. I really think he's pissed that they didn't start him. He was a backup quarterback all year. And then all of a sudden, Tommy DeVito is your starter. You want to know why that was? It was because they didn't want to give him money, because he had incentives that if he threw for a certain number of yards, took a certain number of snaps, he got more money, and he was pissed about it. So, I mean, I think he sticks it to him again.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you. You're Nick Sirianni now. I love making you guys people in the NFL. How are we not starting Saquon?
I'm a white man, huh?
How are we not starting Saquon Barkley?
I would get him that record. I know, and maybe it's a respect thing. Maybe it's a, hey, that's not my record to own. It's
Let me real quick for the people who don't know, he's chasing Eric Dickerson's record just over 100 yards away from it for the single season rushing record, and it's something that puts your name into the history books forever. Dickerson has even said, "I don't want him to break it." You know what I mean? So go ahead, David.
Yeah, I think it may just be a salute and Dickerson did it on a shorter schedule and did it better and did it forever ago. Leave it, let him stay in the record books. But me personally, if I'm a competitor, I want that. But you also don't want him injured going into the playoffs, because he's going to drive your offense. It's
that everlasting fear of injury. What do you think, Sterles?
Well, considering the player, Saquon has dealt with all kinds of injuries. Like, I have reservations about him and Derrick Henry this week, so I would not allow him to play. Listen, the Eagles have tasted greatness in the past 3 years, being close, to winning the Super Bowl. I think their vision and their goal this year, obviously every team, but they see it. They can win a chip. And so if it means sitting Saquon down for, the idea that, hey, we need you healthy for the Super Bowl, I'm totally good with, and good for Nick Sirianni to take control here, to make that decision. I mean, we give Nick Sirianni all kinds of shit, and rightfully so, but I think he really did make the best decision here in sitting Saquon. Be the Super Bowl is the record that you want to be etched in history with the Super Bowl instead of a rushing record.
I disagree.
I want the record, because if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, you still have that record.
But think about this. If Saquon gets injured, you know what that means to that offense?
Yeah.
You got to put more pressure on Jalen Hurts.
I get it. But you can't live your life in fear like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think, and I would ask him, and apparently Saquon said that the first night he didn't really care that much, and then when he slept on it, he did wake up kind of wanting to go for the record. But it's not just him, man. That offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in the league. Maybe one of the best offensive lines. I think last year probably you could have said maybe one of the best offensive lines of all time. And I mean, I'm serious. And so, you're taking away an accomplishment from them too. You know what I mean? Correct. It's not, Saquon's name goes into the book, but it's that offensive line. Yeah, it gets something to puff their chest out about too. And so, come on, man. It's
nice. It's wonderful, man. I love the fact that he's chasing history, man. But like, so I got a good buddy of mine who's an Eagles fan. Okay, we were talking about this, a couple days ago, and I asked him, I was like, "Yo, just the question that you asked us, like, what do you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I think Saquon needs to sit. Like, we won a Super Bowl here in Philly, and we can't afford." He's like, "What Saquon has done for this offense and Jalen Hurts has been incredible. Like, we need him in the playoffs." And so, I kind of agree with him. Like, yo, y'all really do.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt they do.
Right?
But it's,
Yeah, but I get it, though, man. I mean, he can get that on, like, 3 carries. I mean, really, like, he's been that explosive this year.
He's got to bust one, and you give him 4 carries for 100 yards. You know what I mean? But But yeah, I'm thinking about those offensive linemen too. And if I'm the coach, I probably sit all of them down in a room, the offensive linemen and Saquon, and say, if you want to go for it, we'll go.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to see any Bush League play, like if it was the Dolphins or the Steelers, I'd be like, yeah, or the Houston Texans, I'd be like, nah, we're definitely not playing you, because those are kind of teams that do kind of Bush League stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't trust.
I don't see the Giants doing that, because he was a Giant. Like, I think those players have respect
divisional
for
opponent.
Him. No, but conversely, I feel like he was on that team. I don't think they're going to try to stop him. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're doing any dirty stuff. You know what I mean? Where you're kind of like, I don't know, because it's the Giants. Because the fan base. Listen, the Giants fan base will go after the Giants players if they do that to Saquon Barkley. So the fact that you had this all line up like this, I don't know. I would do it, but I think it's an interesting question.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
All right. Did we all say who we were picking there? I don't even know. Did we make a pick there?
I went with the Eagles.
And I'll take the Giants. I'll take the Giants plus 2.5. Give me the laser show. All right, let's go. Saints and Bucks. Buccaneers minus 14 points at home. Listen, I think if this game was in New Orleans with everything that happened, you might say there's a little bit of an emotional lift from the Saints here. They have looked okay under the interim head coach. Don't get sucked in and hire the interim head coach, because you know what's going to happen if you do.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Buccaneers minus 14. Listen, for them, it's real simple. Win, and you are the NFC South champions. And it's possible that you move up even to the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed, especially with the Rams just going night-night on this week. So an interesting situation here. Saints at Bucks minus 14. Who you got, David?
Not a whole lot injury-wise here. Obviously, Carr's not playing at quarterback. Kamara's out, and Miller, their other running back, is out. For Tampa Bay, Antoine Winfield Jr. is out, and Dean, their cornerback's out. So not huge there. 14 points is a lot of points. I think they need to make the playoffs, and they want to show out here. This would be one where I would be comfortable taking the Saints plus 14 and then take Tampa Bay to win on the money line. But I went with the Saints here. 14 points is a little rich for my blood.
Sturls?
I'm going to go with the Bucks here. Even though that spread is large, Baker Mayfield, man, he needs a lot of credit. He's overcome a lot this season just with everything that's been going on there. So I would take the Bucks, but the community suggests that you go with the New Orleans Saints with the spread here. Money line says you take the Bucks in the under over. That number is 44.5, and 65% is on the over in that game.
And if you like the over, you can get it at 44 at BetMGM. So if you like the over, you can shop around and maybe find even a little bit better of a price. You guys know my rule. There are some times where I love my rule and I was going to pick the dog anyway. I will take the Saints. I'll take the 14 points, and I absolutely hate it. Now, listen, I have had a bad read on Baker over these last couple weeks. He's done me wrong every time that he's done something. When he fell flat, I had money on him. When he blew up the Chargers, I didn't. You know what I mean? So I have not had a good read on Baker through the end of the season. But I don't like the 14 here. I think the Bucs are going to come out and obliterate and go to the playoffs. But I could be wrong. Maybe this is too big of a spot for him, and he chokes like he did versus the Cowboys, and maybe they just barely pull it out. So I'm taking Saints plus 14, but I hate it. I really do.
Very much.
Texans and Titans, absolutely nothing to play for here. I think maybe the Texans can get to the 3, but I don't think it's because they have lost the tiebreaker with both those NFC North teams.
Yeah,
do you have that, Sturls?
Yeah, so the Texans, they're just locked into the number 4 seed.
There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do. Win or lose, they're still the number 4.
And they're playing the Titans now. Again, like I said, there's a little bit of intrigue for all these games. Titans have the number 2 overall pick. And so if they somehow mess this up, I mean, They could drop all the way down to 10. Really, 9 is where they would stop their free fall. Or they could move all the way up to number 1. I mean, if New England wins, or depending on strength of schedule, if they end up tied, Tennessee could end up with the top pick here. And I don't think anybody wants to get drafted to Tennessee and wear those ugly uniforms, but especially not Shedeur Sanders. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Titans here. Texans plus 1.5 on the road for a game that means nothing. What do you got, David?
Good amount of injuries here. Danico Autry, the D end for Houston, is out. Fatukasi, who's been out, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 weeks. Shaq Mason, the guard, and Jeff Okudah, the cornerback, are all out. For Tennessee, this may be the best case scenario for them. For out right now, Tyler Boyd, wide receiver, out. Nick Folk, kicker, out. Hooker, their safety, out. Key, their linebacker, out. Their other linebacker, Reese, is out. Tajay Spears, the running back's out. Dowell, the wide receiver, and their tackle, Duncan, are all out. So they've got a lot of injuries. They want to stay as low as possible in that pick for the 2025 draft. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans. This feels like a pretty easy one for me.
Strolls?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans here, even though, again, there's not much to play for. I'm interested to see, though, who the Texans actually play in this game. And I don't think I've heard anything yet. But this season, the Texans are 6-9-1 against the spread, and the Titans are 2-14. So the betting community suggests that you put your money on the Titans minus 1.5 at 65% money line. Suggest you go with the Houston Texans here. Surprisingly, and the total under over is 36.5, and you probably that's a really good number there.
Yeah,
that's
I don't want to touch that.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to do that. I would stay away from that, but people are smashing the over close to 70%. So yeah, give me the Texans here. I think their defense will shine in this game, to be honest. I think they win this game. So you can win some money betting the Texans this week.
Mark this down as the stupid game of the week for me.
For sure.
Correct.
I think this is the one that everything tells you to pick the Texans, and the Titans are going to win it. So I'll take the Titans. I'll lay the 1.5.
Is this your comeback week, Rob?
I don't know. Probably not. The quarterbacks there have no desire for you to go pick another quarterback. And they've been playing for nothing for weeks. So
you've got the Steelers, you've got the Bears, you've got the Titans.
Listen, dog, chill the fuck out.
The Giants.
I don't like the way you're talking to me right now.
You're either gonna crush us, or you're gonna be a sad man.
Probably the latter.
I think this is the stupid game of the week. All right. Niners and Cardinals. This game looked like it was going to mean so much early in the season. As this division was super tight, you felt like the Niners were going to turn it on. You felt like the Cardinals might hang in the division race till the end. Turns out, nothing. It means absolutely nothing for you. As far as draft positioning goes, San Francisco's at 11 at 6-10. They could move up to 10 or fall down to, 15, something like that, but not a lot of movement there. Cardinals, same thing. They can move up to 11 or fall down as low as 17. There's just not a lot for this game here. Cardinals at home, favored by 4.5 points. Who you got, David?
Right now, some injuries. San Francisco is actually healthier than they have been, but Lenore, their cornerback, and Brock Purdy and Samuel are out. I don't see their offense doing too much. Arizona's
Hey, you don't talk about the Pastronaut like that, all right?
Damn.
That's Joshua Dobbs. That's my guy right there.
Give me the Cardinals. I haven't bet the Cardinals in many a week because they've been a real shaky team, but I think the Cardinals are going to take this one.
Wow. So the 49ers are 5-11 against the spread, and the Cardinals are 10-6. 10-6 against the spread. So division game. I think it could be tough. The spread suggests, though, you go with the 49ers plus the 4.5 is 61%. The money line, 64% on the Cardinals. Under over 82%. That number's 43. I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. Dude, like both these teams have kind of disappointed us this season. I mean, I was high on Kyler Murray early in the season. He looked the part, but it just hasn't been consistent down the stretch. And so I like the Cardinals in this game. I would go with minus the 4.5. What is San Francisco going to do? Like I'm confused. I don't know what their identity is. I know that they're injured and I get it, but this is the moment where you wish their coaching would just come through, and you just haven't seen that in these spots this season. So that's why I picked the Cardinals.
I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to get a top 10 draft pick and add it to all the talent that they already have on that roster and be back with a vengeance next year. That's what they're going to do.
They better hope so.
Listen, I'm taking the 4.5 points, and it's just because I like Josh Dobbs. Like I don't have anything for you in terms of what I actually think is going to happen for this game. I feel like the Cardinals may be a little bit more deflated because they got knocked out more recently, and they might be 1-2-3 Cancun here. I'll take the 4.5 and the Niners, but like I said, this is a game you don't really know what's going to happen. All right, the 15-1 Chiefs versus the 9-7 Broncos. This game is so interesting to me. I mean, it is incredible what this game can mean, because when you're sitting here looking at it, you're talking about a team playing a division rival who, like, are they just going to lay down and let the Broncos make the playoffs? Or do you have a little bit of something extra because you don't want the Broncos to make the playoffs? You want to keep them down. You want to give them a terrible offseason. There has been more than one time where I've felt that way, even when the Bills were good, or, as other teams are going against the Bills trying to get into the playoffs, it was always like, what are you going to do to make me angry right now? You know what I mean? Broncos could lose their last 3 games and get knocked out of the playoffs from 9-5 to 9-8 and get knocked out. It's possible. They also can back their way in, though. Look, Vegas thinks they're going to win. Broncos minus 10.5 at home versus Carson Wentz and the Chiefs. What do you got for this one, David?
Not surprisingly, the locked into the number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs are going to rest a bunch of starters. Don't expect most of the kind of higher level names to play. So I'm not sure their offense is going to look the same. Their defense is probably going to take a bit of a step back as well. Denver doesn't have many injuries, just their tackle Crum. Denver needs this. So it wouldn't surprise me if Denver wins. I don't see it by 10.5. So I'm taking the Chiefs here. Again, this is one of those games I'd pile on, the Chiefs plus 10.5 and Broncos money line. But that's me.
God, you love doing that. Sterles, who you got?
I'm going Broncos minus 10.5 heavy in this one, just because, look, man, Denver's first string defense is playing. Like, them boys are, dude, they are so good. So I think Bo Nix, and it comes out in these moments. Remember, we talked about earlier in the show, these kind of moments come down to coaching, and Sean Payton has been there, done that. He's a damn good coach. He's my coach of the year. I think the Broncos will come in here and spank these boys, give them another loss. We'd love to see it. But the communities, though, might be a different story. The community says you plus 10.5, you go with the Chiefs at 78%. The money line is 60% Denver, and then the total under over is 86% on the over. That number is at 40.5.
Carson Wentz isn't good. He's not this bad. 10.5.
No.
I mean,
10.5 is too much.
10.5 is too much, Sterles. Too much.
I think the Broncos, their defense is so good, though.
But they haven't been playing good recently.
But they generate
not for the last month.
Pressure on the quarterback.
They do. Zach Allen's a monster. I mean, right. I love Benito and Cooper.
And that's where I think Carson Wentz has shown historically, the data proves it, that he's not good. And quarterback's numbers, they obviously did, but he's bad when it comes to, pressure, right? So I just don't see it. They already struggle at tackle, right? Even with their number 1s in. So you're putting backups in there. I just think they're going to feast.
I get to hide behind my rule here. I'll take the Chiefs plus the 10.5, and I think that's the right side of it to fall on. I do think the Broncos pull it out, but it's not going to be without, turning coal into diamonds because, your butt's clenched so tight. So I do think they win and make it in, but I think it's they're going to make it nerve-wracking just because there's so much on the line.
Now, Sterles, is he a coach of the year if they miss the playoffs? Only winning one more game than they did with Russell Wilson last year.
Yeah, they would have to make the playoffs here.
No, it would be the same record, I think, wouldn't it? Weren't they 9-8 both times?
I'm not sure.
No, they might have been 8-9 last year.
I can't speak to that. I can't speak to that one, but Jalen Watkins for the Chiefs is back. That's going to help the Chiefs secondary. I don't know if they're going to play him this week just to kind of get him.
They'll give him a little run. They'll give him a little bit of run just to get him in game shape, and then he gets a week off. You don't want him to have too many weeks off in a row, so get him in there, get him warmed up, get him a couple hits, and then pull him. So I got to go with the Chiefs here, and I don't think he's coach of the year. Even if they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they won't. I just like him as coach of the year just for what he had to do with these Broncos. They were terrible. So,
all right, Seahawks and Rams, our next afternoon game. This game, oh man, it was going to mean so much. Like this was going to be your Sunday nighter, and then on strength of schedule, the Rams have now clinched the NFC West. They can move up and down in the seeding a little bit, but unfortunately, nothing on the line here. Some interesting notes before I toss it to you guys to talk about a pointless game. Geno Smith has a bunch of incentives that he is more than capable of reaching. I think it's around 200 passing yards. I think it's like 180 passing yards. There's a thing in there about completion percentage, and I think he needs one more touchdown. I think those are 3 incentives that he can hit that'll get him a couple $1 million. So don't say there's no motivation here.
Yeah.
But I believe he's going against Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter for the Rams. Sean McVay, notorious for sitting down players in games that are meaningless to them. So the Rams are not going to play anybody of consequence, is my understanding. David, what do you got for that?
Yeah, this is one I wish I had seen the injury report before I bet. Right now, Seattle's tackle Lucas and their cornerback Job are both out. That's it. For the Rams, you're looking at them resting Stafford, Nakua, Kupp, and Kyron Williams. So goodbye offense. That's kind of rough. I think I probably would now take the Seahawks -7. The bet I have in, if I can get rid of that, I will. And then I bet the Seahawks -7. I bet the Rams +7. And I don't like that at all. I honestly think this is going to get ugly.
It's actually it's down to 6.5 on BetMGM, but go ahead.
So for seeding wise, the Rams could come in here number 3 or number 4, winning your number 3, losing your number 4. In this game, give me. I'll take the Seahawks here, -6.5. I don't know why. No Stafford. I'm not too confident in anything the Rams throw out there on offense if there's not their first team. We know this team lacks serious depth, right? So I'll go with the Seahawks. I think they control the game on the ground. The community, though, says -6.5 with the Seahawks. They said, screw that. We're going to go with the Rams at 62% of bets. Money line, 36% of bettors pick the Rams on the money line, but guess what? It's 64% on the Seahawks for the money line. And then the under-over is 86% on the over at 38.5. That is a low number with the Sean McVay-led offense. So yeah, take the over if you're betting the under-over. I'm gonna go the -6.5 though with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going -6.5 with the Seahawks too. Like I said, they don't have anything to play for, but money is something to play for.
I was able to switch, so that's a clean sweep for the Seahawks.
Okay, and Dave going with the switch. Listen, here's my big bet for this one. Over 39. I mean, hammer it. I absolutely would hammer it. Listen, the the Rams had a bunch of injuries early in the season. These guys who are depth guys, Skoranek, now the other names escape me, but some of these guys who are depth guys who were behind Nakua and Kupp had to play. So
reps.
I mean, they had tons of reps, and Jimmy G is, he's not a great quarterback, but the total is 39. Like, you know what I mean? So between Geno Smith going for it, gunning, trying to get his incentives, and the Rams playing guys who actually have a bunch of reps this year with an NFL caliber quarterback. I think the over 39 is the play here. And I'm not an over under better, so don't take that as gospel, but that is my favorite thing about this game. You guys' thoughts on that?
No, I mean, yeah, I would probably take the over in that, just because, I mean, these offenses, well, the Rams, they can score. Like, they can score. And it's just Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, what are we getting? Is he going to get injured at the first quarter? Like,
I mean, we're asking for 19 points, dog. We're asking for 18 points out of Jimmy Garoppolo and 3 touchdowns out of the Seahawks, and you're there.
Well, the people in hell ask for ice water, and they don't get that. So,
nice.
All right. Another interesting game in the afternoon tomorrow. This one plays right into the Broncos. The reason that it's a late game, even though it's on the East Coast, is because they needed them to play at the same time that the Broncos play, so there's no funny business. Dolphins and Jets. Jets getting a point here at home in the Meadowlands. Dolphins maybe without Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's going to be out for this and then in possibly for the playoffs. But David, tell us what you got here. Jets +1 at home.
Yeah, couple injuries here. Tua is doubtful. I don't see any way they play him. He would really have to wake up feeling dangerous this morning, and I don't see it happening. Walker, their linebackers, out, and they have 7 questionable. For the Jets, it's Sauce Gardner out again for another week and 5 questionable. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get his 500th touchdown. I think Devontae Adams is going to get that touchdown. I would take the Jets here. It's at home. The Dolphins are kind of banged up. They don't have their starting quarterback. Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Jet is also my guess, and getting that record, they'll take a quick pause for 500th touchdown. Everybody will celebrate. The Jets will feel good, and then they'll go into their off season because they suck. So give me the Jets here.
It's interesting. The line has flipped. So like on my app, which updates obviously like every second, the Dolphins are getting a point, and online where I have it pulled up, the Jets are getting a point. This thing is flipping back and forth. So really a pick'em game. Who you got here, Sturls?
This is a stupid game of the week for me too. Just because I do not like these teams. However, don't you feel like the Dolphins are going to win this game? I'm going to go with the Dolphins +1 here. The community also agrees. 72% of bettors who bet the spread have put their money on the Dolphins. Money line, 81% of money goes on the Dolphins, and the total under over is at 82% on the over, and that number's at 39. I'll go with the Dolphins here +1. Win some money.
I'll take the Jets.
Why?
I'll take the Jets. Because I feel like they're gonna. I feel like it might be the last time Aaron Rodgers is on a football field. One.
Oh wow. Okay.
2, I feel like he's gonna want to get his boy his 500th, whatever. You know what I mean? So they're gonna be gunning a little bit. I feel like the Dolphins fall short here. I really do. Anytime that they are playing a game of any kind of consequence, they choke.
And it's going to be cold in New York.
I don't see it happening, man. I really don't. Listen, I'll tell you this. Everybody's afraid of the Bengals in terms of the Bills, so the Bills are locked into the 2 seed. The battle is for the 7th seed, so whoever wins it will play the Bills, whether it's the Broncos, the Dolphins, or the Bengals. I'm more concerned about playing the Dolphins a third time. And that's weird to me because I think they're going to choke this game away. So I want to see them lose this game, and that might be playing into it a little bit. Yeah. But I don't – without Tua, Huntley now has a week of how McDaniels is going to call the game for him on tape, and I think that matters. It was a surprise last week, right? You didn't know what that offense was going to look like because Huntley is such a different quarterback than Tua is. Now you've got to get a week's worth of film, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be gunning, trying to get, trying to have a Kobe-like 81 as he exits stage left. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I think is going to happen here. All right, one more. The big one, the
Chargers,
one that
Raiders.
matters more than any other game this week. So they put it on Sunday Night Football on NBC. They love to say, I think it's game 272. It's like Mike Tirico's favorite fucking thing to say. He says it 10 times. In fact, play a drinking game where you take a shot every time he says it. You'll be good and fucked up. Vikings and Lions in Detroit. This is huge because not only is it for the number 1 overall seed, loser goes on the road. And you're like, everybody's like, oh, they'd be playing a terrible team, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter, man.
Doesn't matter.
Going on the road and winning in the NFL is hard to do. Adding on top of that you're going to have to do it for 3 straight weeks if you want to make the Super Bowl. That's a tough ask. Vikings +3 in Detroit. David, who you got for this?
Not a lot injury-wise that hasn't been true for the last couple of weeks. Lions really want that 1 seed. I think they were so close last year. I think the Lions are going to come out and they're going to show something. I expect it to be a really good game. I really wish the spread was 2.5. This was one I might tease down a little bit, but I'm going to go with the Lions.
Starles?
All right, so both of these teams, not only do they have an identical record, but against the spread, they're both 11-4-1. That's crazy to me. The community, though, suggests that 55% of bettors have gone with the Vikings +3. Money line, 80% with the Lions. The total under over is at 56.5, and 69% have gone with the over. I do think if there is a team equipped to play on the road in the playoffs, it's the Lions. I'm going to go with the Vikings here. I think the Vikings will win this game.
It's fair.
You
think the Vikings will win or beat the spread?
Both. I think they'll win and beat the spread. The Lions are pretty. They're banged up, and they're kind of trying to figure it out. But I got to give the Vikings some credit, man. Like, they've really, even when I've doubted them a lot this season, but they've come through every single time just about. And watching them last week, man, they are a hungry team. Sam Darnold looks like a franchise quarterback. Now hold me loosely on that, but he's done everything that you've asked him. And Kevin O'Connell, like we're talking about
coach of the year.
That sounded as painful as it could be.
Yeah.
You giving Sam Darnold credit.
I know, right? And it hurts my soul. But you talk about the real coach of the year. Shouldn't it be Kevin O'Connell? Right? Yeah. He's done a remarkable job. How many people really had high hopes for the Vikings coming into the season? I know,
especially with their rookie quarterback getting surgery before the season.
What was it? The 4th round pick passed away. This team has gone through a lot of adversity this season, and they totally get the nod from me. So yeah, they'll represent the NFC with the number 1 seed. I think it'll be a hell of a road to get to the Super Bowl, but I like the Lions when the chip. They play better when the odds are stacked against them. So on the road in the playoffs, I like the Lions, so they'll be fine.
I think that's a great point, Starles, and it was something that I was thinking too. Is the Lions are built for playing anywhere. So it's going to be a tough ask if they have to go to LA, which will be an incredible first round game. I think that's probably your Sunday nighter, but maybe your Monday nighter. It's going to be an incredible game if they have to go to LA to play the Rams. And if they have to play the NFC South winner, I think they punk them too. One interesting note for that is if the Lions do have to go to the NFC South winner, and it is the Bucks, there's only 2 teams who have beat the Lions this year, and one of them is the Bucks. So there's this weird little quirk there. I think the Vikings. I like the Vikings +3 in terms of picking a winner here. It's tough. I have been off the Vikings all year. I can't bring myself to say that I think that they're better than the Lions at home. I'm really concerned about the Lions' injuries. I think the Lions are planning for if they don't get a bye. So I don't think they're going to rush anybody back for this game. I think instead they're going to play it a little bit safe because they're not afraid to go on the road. So I like the Vikings +3, but if you really held my feet to the fire, I'd probably pick the Lions to win.
And we need to circle back to the Chargers Raiders.
Oh, did we forget that one?
Did I skip the Chargers?
Yeah,
Raiders?
we did.
Well, that's because nobody fucking cares. All right, Chargers Raiders. Circle back. All right, Chargers on the road -4.5. Vegas has hurt themselves by winning games. They beat the Jaguars a couple weeks ago. They're now in the number 8 spot when it comes to picking. They can fall all the way down to 10, 11. They can jump all the way up to number 1 if things fall the right way to them. The Chargers do have something to play for. We talked about it when we talked about those AFC North teams. The games on today matter because the Chargers can slide all the way up to the 5 spot. Sturls, why don't you give us that playoff seeding chart to start with?
The Chargers are guaranteed to get the number 6 seed. Okay, since they own the tiebreaker over the Broncos via head-to-head sweep, they can get the number 5 seed if they win, and the Steelers lose or tie. So they're going to be 5 or 6.
Okay. There's no way that they can get it if the Ravens lose and end up as the 5. Then they're locked into the 6.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Who do you like for this one? Chargers -4.5 there, Sturls.
I'm going to go Chargers -4.5 on this one. I'm a homer. Like, I love Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, I'm going to pick him all the time, right? Like, I'm not
I didn't know Los Angeles was your home now.
I didn't know you knew that, but yeah, it kind of is. But no, man, hey, Herbert, he's been playing great. They got a running game. They play defense. Like, this is a Jim Harbaugh kind of team.
Gus Edwards is out though.
Yeah. J.K. Dobbins he's been playing. So, I mean, I think and they've been interchanging those guys. Dobbins has had an injury that he's been working through this year. I think they'll be fine running the ball. So, I think they'll be fine.
David?
I'm also going to take Chargers -4.5.
Any other notable injuries that you want?
Josh Palmer, the receiver, is going to be out. And then for the Raiders, Abdullah, the running back, is going to be out. So nothing huge, but I think the Raiders will take as low a draft pick as possible. Chargers want the opportunity to get the best possible playoff seeding.
Maybe part of the reason that I subconsciously skipped this is I think it has a lot to do with the outcome of today's games.
It does.
Right? Like, they'll know going into that game if they have a shot at the 5th seed or not.
5.
If they do, I like the Chargers, and if they don't, I like the Raiders. But if I'm betting
at this one tonight at midnight,
right? Yeah.
But
if I have to bet it right now, I'll bet the Chargers -4.5 as well. But they have and this is why the NFL tries not to do this. They were caught this year with not too many games that meant something. If the Chargers know they're playing for nothing, no way Herbert plays, right?
Nope.
You're going to start seeing all kinds of backups. So, all right, fellas. Hey, listen, you guys have been putting in all kinds of ridiculous fucking parlays. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners before we get out of here?
Live just thank you. Drive prop bets are the best to me. First drive,
Ravens, Browns. What do you got?
Derrick Henry touchdown.
So if the Browns get the ball first, they're definitely going to punt. I would put money. I would put like $30. You probably only win like 45 if you put that much money on that bet, but it'll hit. And then when the Ravens get the ball, I think you'll probably see a field goal as a first drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go field goal.
So punt or field goal for first drive?
Yeah, you can bet them both, right? You can do both, right? So I would go Ravens field goal first drive, and then I'd go punt on the Browns first drive.
No belief in Bailey Zappi. David,
Zilch.
any ridiculous parlays you want to throw out there?
Take the underdog on the spread, tease it a little bit, and put 50 cents on it. But parlay every game. It's only 50 cents. It's 210,000 if you win.
Wow.
So you're parlaying every underdog
for 50 cents. One bet for 50 cents.
On the spread?
Yeah.
Or money line?
I think I did one of each just for giggles.
That's a fun bet. Watch him hit it too.
I know. So every underdog versus the spread, 50 cents. And how much? What was the total?
I want to say it was 210,000 something.
$210,000. And then David's buying dinner. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
People watching.
Yeah, man. Appreciate everybody for watching. We love when you comment too. They slowed down there at the end, but you guys were active today. We appreciate that. Always feel free to drop those comments in. We'll talk about what it is that you want to talk about. Going forward, we've got Saturday games for the playoffs here, so if the fellas are up for it, we'll be here on Saturdays for the next couple weeks, probably all the way till championship weekend. If we do that, it'll be a Sunday most likely. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. First game just about 2 hours away, so enjoy your NFL football weekend. It's technically your last one of the year. Peace, y'all.